really matter. It does not matter. Hey guys, will you grab the iPad?
Where is it?
It's charging by the bed. You know we're low budget here. Well, okay, so I have really bad time management. We were outside and I took a shower. So I plugged everything in and I realized that I don't have the hub for the ring light. So, but we made it. When Sean, when Sean found, I'm going to show you. When Sean, how long have I had this iPad, right? So Sean sees today that this is the wallpaper.
Hi, everybody.
Do you remember? And thinks that is the coolest thing ever. And I'm like, Sean, it's been the backdrop since we started this silly iPad.
Hi, everybody. It was a whole thing.
It was a whole thing.
Let me go to...
How many of you see it's the battery's low again on it? VPN. Drama.
Is it the VPN?
This is what I'm saying. Look, this is why it's locked.
Okay. This VPN, we have a VPN, and it's like locking us out of all of our own shit.
Right. He was door dashing tonight.
I'm door dashing, and I'm way out in the back 40 where there's not much internet to begin with. It was an Ohio State fan that I was delivering to, so I wasn't too worried about it. And I put his meal down, and I went to do you guys ever DoorDash? And you take the picture, and we didn't even turn the light on.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, I'm looking.
We're low budget.
And
keep going.
So every time I try to take the picture, the VPN would go, we're blocking this, we're protecting you, we're blocking this. And I'm like, motherfucker, I'm trying to work.
And we're laughing about this before we go live.
So anyway, I had to
Karen,
drive, I had to delete the VPN from my phone. I had to drive out to a main road. And by the time I got on there, the customer was pissed off because his food had been, and they clearly said, don't knock on the door, baby is asleep. So I was like, God, I gotta let this guy know. And it's pretty hot out.
Instacart's like that too.
And so when I get on there, this dude's mad because his food's been sitting there. And they've been trying to get in touch with me, but I had to, shut off the VPN and turn everything on. So, and this dude, the dude that we were talking to, he was an Indian fella. So he doesn't really... this dude from Georgia was railing on him because of his food, and he didn't really quite get it. It was such a language barrier, but at the end of the day, this VPN,
well, supposedly it's
supposed to be worth it. Where's my phone?
We're old, which means we are constantly trying. It's like you've got to have a VPN. You have to protect your gadgets, and then your gadgets screw you over.
Are we going to turn this light on?
I don't know how.
You do know.
It's plugged in, is what I'm saying. Anyway.
Don't we just push the button?
That's what I'm saying. Look.
All right, something's going on. You tell them why we're here tonight, baby.
So, it's there's been a lot of talk lately. Oh, you did. How did you fix it? There's been a lot of talk lately about something that's going on with TT's channel, and Sean has. And I know everybody thinks that I'm joking. He doesn't watch it. But today we sat down and he watched the trip to YouTube and put that together with...
When that, I guess whenever she did whatever she did, we were in Hilton Head, I think.
Yeah, we were in
when that happened.
So I didn't see any of it.
It's been almost a month ago, I think.
Yeah, about that.
But I don't watch it. But I mean, I guess the whole... something, she lost her AdSense, blah, blah, blah. And I'm here to tell you, Mandy and I have had our AdSense put on hold. Not something that we would blab to everybody because like ISIS or the Taliban, everybody would take credit for it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh, it was us that did it, Freaking everybody that doesn't like us would take credit for it. Like some kind of terror group. We worked through it, and I'm here to tell you, if you lose your AdSense, even when you fix it, it's like 2 or 3 months before you get...
Before it kicks
and now
back in.
It builds up and you get a nice check afterwards. But the point I'm trying to make is don't fuck with YouTube.
Yeah.
Don't mess with them.
Don't drive there, and definitely not after you've inflated your views.
So I was like, So she did all that
Casey's.
like a month ago, and I was like, "Oh Lord," and I don't watch it. And we go to South Carolina, we come home for a couple of weeks, we go to Texas for a few days. So then it's that her AdSense is gone. And the very first thing I said about that is, everyone's saying blah blah blah. All the low, the drama channels, the low hanging fruit, they're going for it because there is no drama. The drama genre is dying.
And what I wanted, and the reason it was like Sean Speaks is because we just dealt with this. Like he said, we had to get a letter of resolution from the state of North Carolina about taxes in order to get a hold that had been placed onto our AdSense removed. And the
Presley says it's okay, my brain needs a scarecrow. So yes.
but that's what I'm saying. So
hey, what's up, Aziz? What's up, everybody? I'm catching up, and I'm cutting my wife off
it's
here.
Okay. So
but people are saying, do you lose income? Yeah. So basically, when you have a monetized channel, it can be a myriad of reasons why your AdSense gets put on hold. And so what that means is all your ad revenue, all the super chats, you wake up. Normally you find out because you wake up on payday or whatever,
the 21st
and you go and wait, what did I
22nd.
get? And there's nothing. And then you go and you look on it. For us, this was way back in like May.
Right. So we didn't say anything, but
Right.
our AdSense didn't go in. So I emailed
Hey,
and
Yoga.
you taking into consideration that you have to have a certain number of subs to even have the access to this
Hey,
help
so primitive.
email
Hey,
address.
Lord Hillcrest. Hey,
So
Clancy.
you're trying to work out what's going on, why there is a hold on it, what you need to do to fix it.
Right.
And you're doing it only getting one response a day.
I know.
And it was usually in the middle of the night, and you only got one
Right,
response.
because they're going, normally when the emails would get answered, it'd be like 5 in the morning our time.
Right.
Which means they're going to work at about 8 o'clock. And just let's put this in our heads. Like, you've got some crazy YouTuber outside of your headquarters at 8 o'clock in the morning, asking to see security or somebody that they can talk to, when if you follow history, every so often, YouTube has a very dangerous person that has tried to enter the building or has been outside the building. So anyway,
With a traditional weapon.
but I didn't want to go there. But in this,
No, but that's what I mean, though.
in this context, Mandy and we were talking to one of our, through one of our sources of income, which is YouTube, right? One
Right.
of a few different sources that we have, and so back a month ago, I hear that because we have a couple of really cool. Well, Mandy's in, like a thread of a bunch of our circle.
There are mods.
I am in a different thread with people that, with dudes that aren't in our circle, but that are dudes that do this. And so I hear all this stuff that's going on, but I put it into perspective like this. If I said to Mandy, nothing like getting your AdSense looked at and put on hold, like taking your ass to the headquarters and making a fool of yourself.
Right.
With a 100-pound pit bull by your side.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So
I didn't look at it like, she has a service dog that she claims is a service dog, Sif. Sif is a pit bull, seems to be a fairly docile pit bull, but you notice that when she takes Sif with her places. I didn't realize this, but with the seafood restaurant and here, it's also very intimidating.
yeah,
animal.
so I'm looking at this stuff
Whether you like
for the
pit bulls
first,
or you don't like
for the
pit
first
bulls.
time, and after I say a couple of things to Mandy, and then she talks to some of our friends, they're like, "Oh, Sean, you do speak on this, speak on it." So I said, "Okay, I will. I'll speak on it." And I noticed that
I love it.
all the other YouTubers, from the drama community, every once in a while when they got nothing else to talk about, they'll bring her up, and it's whatever. Just, really quick, if you've got a super loony, crazy person that's walking around with a 100-pound pit bull, just let that sink in. I mean, y'all all know who I'm talking about, but to the average person who's just walking down the street doing whatever, what that must be. Say you're just walking down the street in wherever USA that you guys are.
And I think, is that in Los Angeles?
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's, it's a pretty eclectic town to begin with. But say you're in Iowa or you're in Georgia or North Carolina or someplace else, Oregon, Montana, New York, and you're walking down the street kind of minding your own business, doing whatever it is that you had to do for the day, and you look up and there's this big girl with, with eyes like saucers staring at you with a 100-pound dog, and they try to talk to you right off the bat without even knowing any back history. You'd be like, oh shit.
And I feel like that puts the animal at risk.
Well, I mean, but yeah.
Seriously.
But I'm just saying, from just dissociating yourself from what you know and just trying to look at it, as like if you're coming in for the first time. You always have people in our communities that are coming in for the first time. They don't know who the other, some of them know who the other content creators are, but each one of the content creators has built, if you go into, I don't care if you go into like Randy and Wendy's chat, if you go into, Savage's chat, if you go into Sam's chat, if you go into Tragic's chat or Negs and Clara's chat or our chat, and you watch the chat, there's going to be a pretty good percentage of people that you don't know.
Right.
And that's what's happened. So whenever we bring something up, like Mandi, and I'm going to say it, I won't say the name, you guys will remember when Mandi was doing the stream with Clara, another OG came into the stream, Mandi booted her out. And that person went and made a whole stream about it. Nobody even knew who this person was, unless we explained it.
Right.
And and they decided to make a vlog about Mandi, and if you look at her comments in that chat, nobody knew who the fuck Mandi was.
Yeah.
They don't know who it is. Some people know who, like Mrs. ATX is, they don't know Mandi. So when you're looking at this situation, look at it from, you have this big, whatever, 5'9" lunatic wandering around, the streets of Los Angeles with a big, though I think that everyone probably, I never paid much attention to Sif, but a lot of y'all have, and it's a pretty chill dog for the most part. Mm-hmm. But you don't know that. Mm-mm. Now, put yourself in YouTube headquarters with this lunatic with their 100-pound dog in the front of YouTube headquarters, which has had active shooters and had deranged people in the past, not ancient, like 6 years ago and 4 years ago. And it's 8 o'clock in the morning, California time. People are coming to work, and this lunatic is trying to flag people down. Is trying to say, hey, can you go find somebody? That's what it is. Employees. And they're like, holy shit, this is a replay from 2006 or 2000 and whatever. And
they would have gone into lockdown. And that was where you had some insight on
the thing about it is when stuff like that happens, the first couple people go in and they report it to whatever. Organizations like YouTube, that is a multi-billion-dollar organization, they have courses of action for stuff like this, because whether we want to admit it or not, social media, YouTube, all these other places are an outlet for people who in normal society can't vent or do the things that they want to do or say.
Right.
And so YouTube is not their first rodeo.
No,
it's not their first rodeo. Immediately off the bat, after the first 2 or 3 people went in, they had a probably routine, but not something they like, which is a drill, which is, we have deranged person outside headquarters. If you're coming into work, take an extra half an hour to get here, or go into exit B or exit C or something like that.
Right.
I mean, that's what happens. That's what happens on army bases. That's what happens in schools. That's what happens.
I meant to remove that. Hold on.
I'm trying to catch up with the chat, but
I don't like that.
Yes, Justine, they have protocol.
Hopefully.
So just consider that. And one other thing that I did is,
there we go.
I didn't really want to, how you can pull the whole chat up and all you can see is the chat. You don't even have to look at the screen, and you just watch the chat, watch what happened in the chat. And what I noticed, if y'all didn't notice it, was the YouTube Undergrounds people started to converge into the chat. One person actually said, Yaba sent me. And then people were, and all these people. And then
everyone started coming in.
Everybody started coming in telling her to stop.
Don't do this. Don't do it.
It wasn't it wasn't people that particularly even like her, right? They were going in there going, oh my God, like this was beyond. And apparently Sam was in there. She was blocked on the channel that I was watching it from. Guys, this is
I guess the inside knowledge, because we have dealt with the hold on the AdSense.
Right.
So that makes it like particularly like, oh my goodness, if you're trying to live off that and you have a hold on your account, one email a day, and you're going to be doing it for like 5 months.
yeah, that person was
I
not.
wouldn't mess with YouTube.
I'm gonna ask. Yeah, that person was not dissing us, but
No,
just
it
the
was
name.
The name. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah. I'm trying not.
Can
to
you
speak up.
unhide them? Somebody can unhide them.
Okay.
I know they weren't trying to. I know they weren't
Okay.
trying to do that. I thought the filter would catch them, even the name. I guess filters don't catch the name.
No, I'll please change your name. I can't even get into it.
Yes, stitching.
Karen might be
YouTube
able
would
to do
have
it.
inside security, and see that's how I'm trying to look at this. I have completely.
Yes, just be me.
I have completely in the last 18 months or whatever. I have friends that they'll do the stream, and when that person, they start talking about that person, I just respectfully, I just leave the stream because that's what I do. The less, contact and the less when you're dealing with like a sociopath or a narcissist or somebody you used to have a relationship with, you can't give them this right here. What I'm doing is supply.
Yeah.
It is. So I don't like to do it. I don't condemn anyone else for doing it because people need to be aware of it. You can look around all the OGs when times are undramatic, they all go and do streams about her.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, didn't Wendy and Randy do one about her today?
Yeah.
It was today?
Yeah, and Wendy, she kind of saw it both ways.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't watch it, but I really honestly didn't watch it. But from what I understand, she was pretty rational and even said, "Oh God, she's made me defend Sean."
Which I would have to hear the comment because Wendy and I don't like each other, so I don't have to hear it. But that's what this is, and this has happened. So the thing is like somebody loses their AdSense. I don't know how many of y'all content creators have had your AdSense put on hold. The last thing in the world you want to do is come online and say you lost your AdSense because once again, ISIS and the Taliban and they take credit for it. Nobody takes a channel down. Nobody here is responsible for taking a channel down individually. It's normally a group effort, or what's happened more times than not lately, it's some kind of bot that just goes through and looks for stuff and filters things and gets them and makes them go away. If you've been carrying on with your whatever you've been doing for how many ever years, and there's several people out here that have, most of them are already ban evading, most of them are.
Right.
And YouTube, you would think would catch up with them, but they don't. It takes time. And these people they evolve and they get smarter about not being found out.
Right.
But so this person comes on and says, "Oh, I lost my AdSense," and so immediately everybody is trying to figure out what it was to make their AdSense go on hold or whatever. My AdSense has been on hold, and you let it go on for a couple days, and people are like this and that. So finally, I just said, "There's nothing like going out to YouTube headquarters and acting like an idiot. What better way to get them to take a nice hard look at your channel and find something to put your AdSense on hold?
Right.
Knowing that if their AdSense isn't getting paid, they'll probably go away or they might go away. It's really that simple. To me.
Right. And they've got a series of things that they probably look for because they have to have, they won't take your channel, but they'll take your money.
They'll take your money or they'll put it on hold. And one thing that when you look at some people that are erratic, and I'm telling you, you want to find some lolcows, slip into Stitching Girl's DMs and ask her for a few links. She finds them, and we find them. Like Stitching, for example, our last stream, Stitching Girl was like, "Hey, Alice Stark, you might want to check her out." We did, and we were not disappointed.
Right.
And I like Alice. I like her. But, she was on one for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
But,
for sure, for sure. But ours was a simple resolution. It was we had to get a document, but it was something from North
Yeah.
Carolina taxes, from 2018.
2018
And I
taxes.
was like, well, Sean, your life was pretty tumultuous, at that time. Maybe you slipped up and didn't. So, but you have to email back and forth about 5 times before they even tell you
Right.
why there's a hold on
They
the
don't
account.
know. They don't know. They've got to go find out. And then
Right.
they don't know why.
Right.
So it was
Right.
a series of events that we didn't talk about because once again, everybody that doesn't like us would say they did it. And it ended up, YouTube literally sent us the document, the tax document, because they couldn't, they didn't know where my address was. And it's not like I'm hiding. I work for the post office. I work for a quasi government job.
Right, exactly.
My social is all over everything. And, but they understood that. And they said, oh, well, here we are. And I said, well, here you go.
And then it was daily saying, did you get it? It was faxed. Did you get it? It was faxed. And you only get paid once a month. And Sean always sets me straight. Is it the 21st or the 22nd?
It's one or the other.
Right,
I mean,
right.
but
Okay, so let's say that, and people are like, you don't know when I really can't remember if it's the 21st.
There's things that
22nd.
Mandy totally handles, and like if you ask me a couple things that a husband should probably know, I'm like, I don't handle it. This one does.
Yeah, so even
the
if-
AdSense for our channels, I handle. She doesn't even know how much we get.
Yeah, exactly. So that's our oh shoot. Okay.
Don't stop talking now.
No.
Yes. One of the things so I watched some of the front. One thing that this particular YouTuber does when she's lying is she looks straight down at the ground. So if you ever go back and look at when she talks about her journey across the United States, look at it. Look at when she's talking about it, she looks down. She can drive that. She can drive. She flew. But anyway, for me, these little couple of things that I have said to our groups that are like, Sean, why don't you speak on this? Speak on it. Because I don't like to. Everybody else will go, oh, there he goes talking. I rarely talk about her in depth like this, but I mean, it's not 95% of what goes on isn't rocket science to me because I was in that cauldron for 10 years.
Right.
So it's pretty easy for me to discern things. But you don't really need to, go too far down the rabbit hole. If you travel out to YouTube headquarters and put yourself in the front of it and act like she acts,
Your channel better be left, right, left.
it better be earning them a ton of money.
Right.
You better have claimed your taxes on it or anything else. It is the best way to get your stuff put on lock or to get your AdSense put on hold. Show your ass to the person who actually pays that out to you.
Right.
To me, that's what it was.
I hadn't seen it, thought of it in that way until he watched it. And that was I'm trying to think. Okay, so the other point that you made was about the fact that when she stood in front of the car, she tried to move her shoulder to hide.
Yeah, it was to move the fact that there was a rental car.
Right.
I mean, we're earning her like another 1,000 views because people that watch this, if anyone watches it, will go back and look. But there was a point in time where she turns around and the car that's behind her, she tries to move her shoulder and get the car out of the way.
So it couldn't be
Now,
seen.
one of the things that I can't answer and I don't want to answer and I don't want to spend any time on it. People were like, how did she finance getting out there? How was it that she got there? And I don't know. It could be any weirdo on the internet that says, hey, I'll pay for your ticket if you do A, B, or C. It could be as simple as that. But I mean, the point that she would do it. And again, let's go back to the fact that the YouTube underground, who doesn't like Mandy and I, who, Sam Telfer, who puts her up to all of these things that are so dumb to do. They were even in there going, dude, get out of there.
Yeah, get out of there.
This is not smart.
That's a very dangerous situation.
Yes, it's not a good thing to do. So there's that.
Yeah, that was the big takeaway from you seeing it was that the dog is being used to intimidate.
I don't
And
know
this
about
comes
that.
from
But
Sean loves
I mean,
pit
I'm
bulls.
just saying.
Like
If I'm walking down the street, Okay, so we've got a guy. Yeah, we've got a guy that sits up on our corner near one of our stores, and he used to have this RV, and now he's just living out of a minivan, and he sits on the corner, and he plays his guitar, and people give money. I throw him $1 or $2 every time, every chance I can, and I don't care what his story is. He's out there. I knew the guy a little bit because he at times could pay for a post office box at the post office. But so he does his thing and he sits there occasionally. He's got people talking to him while he's doing it. And most of the 4 years 3.5, 4 years that Mandy and I have been here, he's been there.
Yeah.
Through 110 degrees and through the snow and the sleet. It would be completely different if he was sitting there with a pit bull or a bull mastiff or a German shepherd or something. Mm-hmm. He wouldn't be as approachable. He wouldn't. People are just going to think twice. It's my choice whether I want to help you or not. It's my choice whether or not I'm going to give you this $1.50. Don't have a big ass pit bull sitting there.
Yeah.
To me, it's just common sense.
It is.
Yeah.
It made sense when you said that, which is just another way that the dog is a prop. That's all that they ever are.
And the dog seems like the dog's adorable. The dog is. I mean, when I look at the dog and I look at how, unconditionally, these animals they just know who takes care of them, who gives them shelter, who feeds them and stuff like that. And you see this dog that is made the cut everywhere she goes. The dog is always there. Apparently, there's been several. I don't know them all, but you guys said there's been several other dogs in the last few years that have come and gone. And it just, every time I think about that, it takes me back to Lily. And when I spoke out on when she executed Lily, that was the most popular vlog I'd ever done. It's like 10,000 views for it. And so when I look at this dog, I can't help but one of these days, it's going to be your turn.
Yeah,
it's going to be your turn where someone is going to say, I don't like that dog or whatever, mm-hmm. and that one's going to be euthanized or that one's going to be sent to a shelter.
Bull mastiff.
Or
that's what I thought.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like I said, I spent a couple of minutes before I went to work at the request of a few people, and mm-hmm. the dog is, the dog is completely dependent on her. And one of these days,
and Bear was docile, right?
Yeah,
unless he perceived that someone asleep
right,
or weaker,
right. If
younger.
Even for me, like when I was living there in that house with her and my then stepdaughter, the dog was very protective of my stepdaughter. Mm-hmm. He was, and even
because was the bottom of the pecking
right,
order,
and especially if they were like asleep or whatever,
right.
And you'd walk down the hall and you'd hear her growl, and I'd be like, "Shut the fuck up!" And then the dog would plop off the bed and come out, and I'd take him out. But this is probably gives a similar. It's not a service animal, but it gives it a certain companionship that everybody else in the world has, said there's no more chances. Mm-hmm. No more chances. It's just, now it's the dog. But one of these days, and I didn't notice that, but having that dog, it just doesn't make sense. Where would you go demanding to talk to security with a big ass dog? Any of us. It just, even if we were the calmest of people,
because if a security guard or someone had
mm-hmm. gone
to accost or arrest or mm-hmm. something like that, the pit bull is going to protect. No matter what, no matter how docile
exactly,
they are.
And that's
and pit bulls specifically have a bad rap. There's lots of breeds that do it, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. but pit bulls are intimidating. Is it
that's a good point? That's a good point. Is a very probable way how this animal will meet its demise is, she's going to cross the line or do something with somebody. Where she's doing by going out to LA, in North Carolina, in Rhode Island, in some of these other places where everybody knows who she is, you get handled differently by law enforcement. They don't want to deal with you if they don't have to.
Right.
If they don't have to. And when they do, it's going to be handled with kid gloves because the mental illness and this and that. She's out there treading in waters that people don't know who she is.
It was San Bruno, not LA.
Oh, okay. Wherever.
I'm trying to Go ahead.
But in a different environment than.
And they've had incidents happen recently.
Right.
Well, I'm sure you said daily, there's probably someone showing up. But when it gets to the point that there's shouting and have, that dog with them, it becomes, I don't.
AC Drake says, she looks so unhappy. I want to know where all of her friends are that Sean didn't let her have. He's gone now. Still no friends. And, on that note, I'll flip it around and make it about me for a minute. I said to Mandy, I say to everybody else, just as time goes, that you're going to see. I mean, people are going to see. The biggest thing I always had going for me as far as I can come on YouTube every single day. There's been channels that have tried to perpetrate her story. And I'm grateful that people around me, the people that are my friends, get more worried about it than I do.
Right.
I don't worry about it. She's going to show herself, and she has.
Right.
She has. Then that's a good case of point.
So you saw the people that came in and said, don't do this. Don't do this.
Right. Even the people that don't like Mandy and I were telling her not to do it. But the thing is, the biggest testimony is from people that are legitimate domestic violence survivors. They flock to channels where they think that there is a DV survivor there and try to listen to, how they put their life back together, this or that. And they all say the same thing. Someone who has really been through it doesn't chase down and bait and antagonize the person that has supposedly done this to them. It's almost a unanimous comment from everybody says, nah, he didn't do that to her because she would not be baiting him like that.
Right,
or
exactly.
talking about him like that, putting his military records and this and that. So I have no worries about that at all.
No.
Matter of fact, every time somebody says, I'm going to expose him for this, or I'm going to say that, I get genuinely interested in what they're going to put up there. Mandy knows that. She's like, they said that they've got this or got that. I've said, I'm going to lurk. I want to see what the fuck they're going to come up with this time. And it's nothing. It's nothing. It never is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I think I'm able to have a happy life. I feel like he has a happy life. I made him a video today. I haven't given it to him yet. I haven't picked the right music, but I was kind of filming the chaos and the love of animals that is us. And be like real raw with it. I mean, like you can see the house, in its state. I don't hoard or anything. It's not like that, but it's cool. But like, and put it together to show like, I love my life.
Well, we got to give our members something. We got to. I mean, we have the best, 14, 15 members that, we have been doing
300.
Nothing on
300.
No, we have been doing little to nothing, and that's not right to your members. So to our members that are out there, thank you guys. It is because of you that Mandy and I can take a complete month off and still get an AdSense check because of you guys. We owe you big. We owe you big time. So get on it, lady.
Yeah, but don't you're not guaranteed to always get your AdSense. We don't depend on it, but there are people that do. You know what I mean? Like, and those people try to fly under YouTube's radar. They're not trying to make waves. You know what I mean? Because I feel like we all push the envelope a little bit.
We all do. I mean, everybody that tunes in to these live streams, and people that like come into the comments to try to get a rise out of people. I mean, this is the wrong channel to come try to do that for. I mean, anyone that has been hanging out for the last 3 years has known who's come for us. And I mean, there are people, without saying any names, that say we're gonna go real life, and they have the people that don't like us going, we tried that, it didn't work.
Right.
Just stop, and whatever you do for the love of anything sacred, don't say on the live stream that you're gonna go real life on somebody after you've just gotten out of court for going real life on somebody else. I mean, it is probably the most idiotic thing you can do, but that's happened recently. Even the person that they were on panel with was like, don't do that. Don't do that. You've got to at least be on the sly a little bit.
Right. I wouldn't mess with him. Like, but when you're not not driving all the way there and you have to email back and forth with them, there's certain barriers. You kind of have to get to the point where you kind of divorce yourself of the money, because there's no 1-800 number. There's no,
back to calling.
Exactly. The resolution is that you're doing one email a day. That's all you're going to get is the reply. But you got to work with it. You got to work with it. And it took 5 months.
And you got to realize there's going to be a huge time barrier, because they're coming into work while you're still in bed, and you're going to wake up. And when you check your emails, you're going to see something at 5:30, and a lot of times it's just minutia. It's like, no, and it's like they don't really know how to help you, so they just have this kind of talking points that they've got to put out to you, and then you got to keep working for it, and then you will finally, in our case, they had a document that they received, and there is a chance that her thing is related to it. It could be. It's like, hey, we found this guy because we put a hold on Tomahawk Sean's AdSense. He's responded. He pulled out his debit card. He took care of the situation. He got his AdSense back. It sounds very simple, but it was literally about a 15-week process, to do it, to actually figure out what it is I needed to do, who I needed to call, who I needed to pay, what I needed to get to prove it, and, the full circle. And then all of a sudden, the silver lining in it is there's 3 months of AdSense that comes to you when it's finally over with.
When it's finally done. It's a chunk of change. But you see, there are great big YouTubers that lose their monetization, and they'll say it all started because their AdSense just didn't go in. Now they have YouTube managers. As you get more subs, you have more access to YouTube. But when you're low like us,
all of us,
right? Well, no, that's what I'm saying. You have to be a creator to even have this email address. It's a crazy long one or whatever. But even like we had to fax it. I was like, do people even have where do you fax?
I know.
And it turns
out. And then they
out,
asked us, do you have a fax number? I'm like, no. Just do it in a PDF file and email it to. Okay, calm down.
Or they'll say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. And it's like, but anyways, so we had to divorce ourselves of the money and just wait for it. And luckily it was, a nice buildup. And it came in and it helped out. I think it was Hilton Head, if I'm not mistaken. But anyway.
But on that note, those of y'all that do make content and you get paid, let's say a few hundred every month or whatever it is. Don't add PayPal money and this, just your AdSense and your super chats. What you get on the 21st. For those of us that have, less than 100,000 subs or whatever, and even less than 20,000 subs, which is the majority of us had come up in the drama community. And you get that every 21st or 22nd, it shows up, and it's nice. It gets you through till the first for us. It's gone. So we're not in a situation where we depend on any of this. So, and just think if you could set it up, and you can, I found out, where they just pay you quarterly.
Yeah.
You can do that. But it's where you have to put it on hold yourself and take it off. So instead of, so you get paid 4 times a year instead of 12 times. And when that happened, I was like, well, this is kind of nice.
Yeah.
You can actually do something with this.
Yeah.
So.
Most people already know you have to have $100 threshold. Is that what it is? A threshold, right? Yeah, a threshold monthly. And if you don't make 100, you don't get paid.
You don't get anything.
No.
So
but it rolls over.
It rolls over, and then they'll add.
And so let's say it gets resolved on the 24th, whatever it is, they take the hold off. YouTube only pays once a month. That's the other thing.
That's it.
You can, even if you get it fixed the next day, they're not going to be like, oh, okay, well, here's your money. You have to wait till the next time that it gets paid.
I love that comment. Leg Lamp says, make 0 content. I'm just a lamp. But you've been here for a long time, Leg Lamp. Hats off to all the people that are still around. After 7 or 8 years, or Leg Lamp's been here forever.
Right. For a while. Yeah. The other question was about the GoFundMe.
I have laugh out loud, Leg Lamps. It's true.
Do you know that she has another GoFundMe, Sean? Did you know that? But,
but,
she has another GoFundMe, Sean? Did you know that? 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 Did
No, I didn't, and
Do you know
care.
how? Yeah. Do you know how many like she's had over time? People were asking.
I don't know. I have no idea.
Over time, how many?
Here's the other thing: is that Mandy will ask me something about my time there, and I have come to realize that, and I mean, people were trying to tell me this, and I have to admit, people were trying to say, "Dude, you're either delusional or 100% and this and that." I mean, we have mods and we have people that are in our circle, right? Karen's one of them. There's a couple others. I'm not sure if they want to be mentioned, but Karen is here, and they were supporters of hers when I was there, and they left and came with me. Like kind of kept up with me, and most of them have ended up being friends with Mandy. And they were supporting her with things, and I never knew about it. I never knew, and now now it's come out. One person was like, "Yeah, she was always asking us for stuff," and I just didn't know.
Yeah,
I didn't pay attention to it.
I like to have your insight sometimes on things, because I mean, after being together for any length of time, he's like.
Moxie says it's just a mere 6,000, and his page is like, and it's holding steady at 160. I mean.
What is it even for? What is it even for? Oh yeah, so Clancy had said earlier that you were very that he had left for a while. There was a falling out, and then he came back, and we're gracious.
Yeah,
I wanted to make sure that you saw that one.
Clancy's good people.
I remember when she asked for money to buy Sean a birthday gift.
I mean, and I didn't know this. And then there's a lot of
gift?
things that, or interactions with people, especially male YouTubers, The thing that I would always say, and I said this to Mandy, and it's happened here, and even it's like, so she was talking to this person. Were you worried about that she was going to hook up with this person? And I was like, no, I was never worried that she was going to hook up with anybody. And if she ever got a hold of them, they would be fucking miserable.
Yeah, exactly.
She just like anybody else, she would use them for what she wanted, and then, turn around and say that they assaulted her, and then put up any personal business that they had ever shared with her. So I was never worried. I was never worried about that.
Right. I'm trying to read through them. Sometimes I'm like, are they trolling us? Is that a good comment or a bad comment? Kinky Kelly. I'll deflect to you to see if that is a troll comment.
I don't know. I mean, troll comments are okay.
No, it must not have been a good one. It got removed. I didn't finish. I'm like, is it a good message or a bad message?
Do they like us or not like us?
Started a new. Yeah, everything. We've taken everything.
In your dream said she told me she spent her cash on all the pizza deliveries that were fake. I mean, so there's people in here are commenting about what she asked of them.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of people. I mean.
It's like.
Oh, so getting back real quick, shifting gears to Wendy and Randy, they streamed about her today, right?
Yeah. Well, they reviewed one of her breakdowns from the other day. Not the one you watched.
I'm going to give a little bit of advice here, and they can be mad at me or not. I've watched, when we haven't been making content for the last 2 or 3 months, as we're doing our 2024 summer tour, to different places and seeing family and stuff like that. Wendy's better act solo.
Yeah.
She doesn't need when you watch Wendy and Randy together, you can tell that Randy needs Wendy a whole lot more than Wendy needs Randy.
Yeah.
And you can tell if you I don't listen to every day after day, but when sound bites come in through or where people have said they don't seem like they're on the same sheet of music. First of all, they're on other sides of the United States from one another. And I think that it appears that Wendy is cool with people that Randy is dragging and vice versa.
I think so.
And I think that's why they're not always together. I still don't know who the hell Richard is.
Last time I was asking one of y'all to tell us who Richard is.
Right. I don't know who this person is.
Yeah, that there's a beef with. I'm like, I want to know who Richard is.
Who was the beef?
Can we get a link?
I mean, you don't need much from Randy for her to go live and
hey,
but
cousin Andy.
What up, Andy? Oh, so Andy, I was thinking about the
Cubs
songs that were
win.
the songs that were on the, so you got Kiss Alive 2. The fourth side, I was trying to think of all the songs and I was missing one. Any Way You Want It. Kiss's version of Any Way You Want It. It's not like Journey's, but so Any Way You Want It, All American Man. I mean, it was on Hair Nation while I was out there today, Andy. Thought you should know. On to the drama, back to the drama.
Yeah, that side, Sean, of the family. I mean, I don't know about both of them, but that side of the family, y'all are like pretty musically talented.
Yeah,
If y'all don't perform, you are knowledgeable.
I won't talk about any people individually, but Andy will tell you there's 4 or 5 of us that, can play instruments and sing a little bit.
Yeah.
Can do that in the family. Andy being one of them. So.
I think Sean has I don't know what 100% what perfect pitch sounds like, but you're pretty close.
Well, I mean, I don't have a great voice, but there are people that have great voices and can't sing a pitch.
Mm-hmm.
I can pitch and I can sing with a song. But if you grew up like Andy and I grew up, we grew up with music. Like I said, I remember sitting around while my babysitters were rolling a joint and stuff when they were taking the cellophane off the Fleetwood Mac Rumors album. It was like, 77 or something like that? And, I'd be like 8 years old, and I remember that. And then listening to Rumors, Fleetwood Mac Rumors, I was under 10, and listening to that and going, whoa, this is pretty good. Or walking down the street in the late 70s and finding, Tom Petty, Damn the Torpedoes, cassette laying in the road, and I grabbed it and took to my little cassette player and heard Don't Do Me Like That, and that A side of Damn the Torpedoes, and I'm like, man, that's you're not going to hear that on
the tape.
I don't know, but it was in the middle of the road. You're not going to hear that on the radio, and that's much better than the stuff we hear on the radio.
Right. Right. Exactly. We should do.
Silence.
Just Be Me. Great album.
Which one, the Fleetwood Mac one or the Tom Petty? Both. But I mean, Andy and I, and
Presley too.
He's
Presley,
a little
musically, yep.
So Andy's a little younger than me. But
Karen plays the I didn't mean
Karen
accordion.
plays everything.
She plays the accordion.
She needs to start like an Instagram channel playing the accordion, man. It would take off. And we'd have Bobby from the store sing.
She can literally hey Lucy, she can literally claim I there's nothing that she can't do.
Yeah.
It really I've yet to find something.
Yeah, I mean, so if you were growing up in upstate New York when Andy and I and the people that we were around, there were reel-to-reel tapes, if y'all remember reel-to-reels. A lot of the Beatles, a lot of Elvis. Our family liked Barry Manilow, things like that. I remember going to see Foreigner. There was a lot of music being played. And it's like anything. If you're running around and everybody's playing baseball, you're going to play baseball. You're going to figure out how to play baseball.
Y'all do that too.
Yep. If you live on the lake and grew up on the lake, you're going to be swimming and skiing and things like that. There was just always music being played. In our family. And yeah.
Presley is a music fan too. A lot of people will say though that the biggest progression in music happened between 80 and 90. Correct?
I mean, I think if you listen, I mean, what are you talking about? Pop music or rock and roll? Because it was. I mean, in the early '80s is when hair metal.
Well, when did it
started?
Split? When did rock and roll?
You always had rock and roll like Aerosmith, Black Sabbath, and you had heavy rock. And then as you got into the '80s, there was the glam rock, the LA scene where Poison and stuff like that. And then in the early '90s, the alternative and grunge scene, stuff. So there's been something to staple each decade.
Right.
Country music is just country music.
Right.
But a lot of people, when they listen to country music, they say it's not country anymore.
No, that's something that Clancy says a lot, is that it's not like classic country music anymore. It's very rare that a musician comes out that is country and sounds country. I think Luke Combs is probably.
Yeah, Luke Combs is from North Carolina, and I had heard him before he made it big. He was good. It didn't matter. It didn't matter what genre of music that you listened to. Luke Combs is fucking good. He could sing anything.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, he just chose country.
I haven't looked him up in a while to see. I was like, you know that he has 2 children now, I think.
But when he released that first album,
y'all know who Luke Combs is?
When he released that first album, then he released like 2 or 3 EPs, and then he released his second album with all the EPs, and you know, it was kind of like, if you bought the EPs, every single was hitting the charts, in the country charts, like every one on the whole album. He was that good.
Yeah.
My favorite Luke Combs song is what?
She Ain't Ready. No, Houston, I Have a Problem.
Houston, We Have a Problem.
Yeah, Houston, We Have a Problem.
If you haven't heard Houston, We Have a Problem by Luke Combs, listen to that. It's really cool.
Yeah.
She Ain't Ready was when Mandy and I first started dating, and I was wrecking the home. I sent to her the song She Ain't Ready by Luke Combs, and I mean, that was it.
We had kind of already decided to be together when he sent me the song, but it was like, it was so true. It's like, she's not ready, but you know, she's gonna like,
I can tell when I look at her that she's hurt and she ain't ready to be in another relationship, but I'll be here when she is. It was kind of like that. Yeah.
It was a cool song. I think he's got an incredible voice.
He does. They were trying to get him to lose weight so that he could be more, you know, like a different stage presence, and you don't do that. You don't fuck with a big person's weight when they sing that way. I mean, same with Jelly Roll. I mean, he's a big dude.
They wouldn't let Adele stop smoking for a very long time. She finally did, I think, but for a very long time, they were like, no, that's what gives you your voice. Adele, right?
And also...
Is it Adele from England?
She was the one that smoked a lot, I think.
Yeah, Adele, okay.
But you have these gals that they can really sing, and you see them, and you know, and they're thin, and then they make some music and they become famous, and then they put the weight on, and their voice is stronger. Like Kelly Clarkson is a lot bigger than she was. Christina Aguilera gained a lot of weight, and they sound even better.
Yeah.
Especially if you like big girls.
And Barbra Streisand, that people like used to ask why she never got her nose fixed because she has, I guess, a big nose. I didn't notice it to be large, but I guess, you know, that was the reason she didn't fix it, because it could have changed her voice.
And then I think that's one of the entertainment. When you're an actor or an actress, they want you to look a certain way. Or music, you could kind of, you know, if you're going on these contests, you need to look a certain way. But man, if you can sing or play guitar or play drums or whatever, people don't care what the fuck you look like.
No.
I mean, there are some like mangy looking dudes out there, but you know, they pick up a guitar and play it. They're like, that mangy dude can stay mangy.
Right, can stay mangy all day long. He can just
stay mangy all day.
Like running up and down the court. I was like, Sean, all they do is run up and down, up and down, up and down the court talking about basketball. That's really one of the only sports that I don't share.
She doesn't like to watch.
Like with you.
She's like, they just run back and forth up and down the court. I said, see that guy right there? She's like, yeah, he makes $15 million a year running up and down the court. And she was like, well, Andy, he needs to keep running up and down the court then. You know, it's like,
away you go run the court.
You know, be like Sean, you're playing basketball.
Can y'all hear it? Can you hear this? I mean, I can hear it. And you said, well, but you can't hear, you have trouble hearing anyway, but the squeaking on the floor of the shoes, squeaking on the floor. I was like, that sound drives me crazy. And Sean's like, you can't hear it. I'm like, yes, I can. You know, I'm like, you can hear it.
Speaking of sports, I'm checking the Braves. The Braves are 2 games behind the Mets for the final wild card spot, and they've got a 3-game series that started tonight. So if they sweep it, they'll be in first. If they win 2 out of 3, they'll be tied. Right now, they're going into the top of the 9th. The Braves are up 5-1.
That's always a good night.
That's good news.
The Braves are up 5-1.
Tomorrow we got Chris Sale Andy, if you're still here.
He is.
So we're going to win the first game, it appears, unless we have an epic meltdown. And then we got Sale on the bump tomorrow. It's looking good for the Braves. It's been a few years since they are on the outside looking in, trying to make the playoffs. So
I had several people today tell me that there is weather coming, actually a hurricane. So I asked Sean if he had heard that there was a hurricane coming.
What did I tell you?
He was like, I don't remember what you told me.
Georgia plays Alabama in
yeah.
Tuscaloosa on Saturday night. And, people are like, the hurricane can't come. Georgia's playing Alabama. That's right in the path of the storm.
They're like, certainly
Certainly
the
God
powers
wouldn't
that
do
be
that.
wouldn't
I
do
mean,
that.
that's like number 2 against number 4, but yeah, that's where that game is. And a lot of people are like, the storm is going to already be passed by then, and which would make for a super, super muddy field if they play it, which will slow the game down a lot.
Well, but they'll call it. Baseball calls it if there's even a little bit of mist in the air.
The only time they call a football game is if there's lightning.
Oh, really?
They'll play in a blizzard. They'll play in a torrential downpour. But if there's lightning, because of they'll stop the game and they'll keep it stopped for a half an hour. And if they're sustained lightning, they won't play it.
Strawberry said, "Roll Tide."
Oh my gosh, boot her! No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
That's so cool. That's a bit of. Oh yeah. So Andy said, I know you like an occasional story about Sean, and I, from our younger days, heard him mention it earlier. My first concert I ever went to was Foreigner. Our families went together at SPAC.
Saratoga Performing Arts Center, better known as SPAC. I didn't know that was your first show. So it was Foreigner and what's his name? The guy from the Eagles, Walsh. Life's Been Good. What's his first name? Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh opened up. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Well, then there you go. So Lord Hillcrest is supposedly in the United Kingdom, but I see a lot of passion for sports that are American sports, like specific teams.
He just asked if Aspasia's ever seen The Doors, and Aspasia said no, but I have been to Jim Morrison's grave at Père Lachaise cemetery. I have seen it too. In Paris.
Oh, in Paris?
Yep.
That's where he was from?
No. So to paraphrase, he was in a lot of legal trouble in America for like whipping his dick out on the stage in like Florida or something. Correct me if I'm wrong. Jim Morrison. He was in Paris and he was sobering. Had gotten sober, but he was also sort of pulling a tragic on us and skipping litigation by moving. And so he supposedly was, he was chilling out in Paris and he passed away. Had heart problems there. So he got buried right there.
So that's where he OD'd.
Was it an OD? Was it an OD? Or was it he was clean and his heart just gave out? Depending on what you believe. They never did do a toxicology report or or anything like that on him. So
no, they never knew but I didn't know that until you.
But yeah, so been to Pierre or Pierre Lachaise.
I thought when I asked you if you ever went anywhere besides Germany, like Amsterdam and Germany, that you said that you had never been anywhere else.
No, I went everywhere. I went to Amsterdam.
Paris?
I went to Paris. Oh. I went to Austria. I went to Luxembourg a couple of times because I actually went to Luxembourg in a NATO convoy and drove supplies to Luxembourg.
So you saw the Eiffel Tower?
Yeah, Paris.
Yeah, that's
but
what
I didn't. Here's the deal.
Paris.
Yes, and here's the disclaimer. I was in my early 20s, and I did not, for the life of me, appreciate the fact in the early 90s that what I was seeing.
Right.
Like that I would have spent more time.
Right.
There wasn't, like I said, there was no World Wide Web, there was no YouTube, there was no Face, there was none of that. So you went and did it. So like if we had a holiday weekend where we had 4 days off, 3 or 4 of us would rent a Mercedes and we'd drive. Paris was about a 5-hour drive. It was like driving to Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
It was close. Luxembourg is a little country. It's smaller than the state of Rhode Island. And when you cross the river, you can tell it's much wealthier than the German side. It's just when you're like in the water, the one side is clearly more affluent than the other side.
So you're not a Paris virgin.
No, I'm not, and I wasn't really.
That might have
impressed
been
with
a
it,
consideration,
But I was very,
I've
very
never
young.
been there
though.
either. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
Is it dirty?
Luxembourg is cool. And again, I didn't get it, and I didn't understand. I was about, like I said, about 22, 23 years old. They put me in the army version of an 18-wheeler, which is just like 10 big wheels. You know, they're army wheels, and I drove a flatbed full of supplies to whatever NATO bunker was there. I don't know if it's still there. And I wasn't sure about Luxembourg. I didn't know if it was a country, if it was I didn't know. And then I did the research, and it's its own little sovereign nation. And I hear it's like wildly expensive to live there, like to rent or to, but.
It was in a club. The Lord Hillcrest says that the OD was in a club. Were you in Baumholder?
I was in Baumholder. I was actually Neubrücke. So whoever typed that in the chat, about 25 kilometers from Baumholder was Neubrücke. I lived in Birkenfeld. All this is right near Baumholder.
Isn't it hard though to figure out the word? Like you even do it with the accent. Is it because you heard it so many times?
Neubrücke?
Yeah.
Berchtesgaden?
I don't know about that one, but the first one for sure.
So yeah, whoever said Baumholder, Lisa Lou, yes.
Is it still open?
Yeah, it was about 5 hours from Paris. So Neubrücke, I think I can spell it.
That's the
Lisa Lou said we were in Baumholder from 92 to 95, as was I. I got there in February of 92, and they closed the Kaserne, the little Kaserne in Neubrücke in 93. So then I spent 94 in Schweinfurt. I actually lived in Bad Kissingen, but we were in Baumholder at the same time.
And it's still there.
Baumholder is there. Neubrücke is no longer.
So what do they
American
do?
soil.
They just turn it back over to Germany?
Yep.
And was it part of the treaty from the beginning, or was it an
No,
agreement?
like, as a matter of fact, where I stayed was this old hospital, and if you looked really close, there was Nazi symbols in some places.
Oh wow!
And they tried to scrub them clean, but yeah, Baumholder was the big kind of base that we would go if we wanted to go to the PX and stuff. K-Town was very close. Ramstein Air Base was very close. So yeah.
I'm looking at it. Fancy.
Lisa Lou's like, Sean, we lived in Birkenfeld. I lived in that housing area.
Oh my gosh.
Yep, I lived right there in Birkenfeld. I lived, since Lisa Lou knows, you remember the backside of Birkenfeld? And as you're coming down the road and there was cow pastures on the other side, I lived right in the building on the other side of the cow pastures, right there.
I bet
in
it
1992.
smelled awful.
It wasn't too bad.
It
But
wasn't too
that's
bad?
a small world.
Oh, how funny.
She's like, we lived in Birkenfeld.
Wow, that's amazing. You should...
That was a little bit of a drive to Baumholder from Birkenfeld. I mean, it was literally about a 5-minute drive to Neubrücke from Birkenfeld. Baumholder was further.
They had a Burger King there?
Yeah.
Isn't that what they
No, not
then?
Not in Birkenfeld. Birkenfeld was it was just a German village. They had a couple little, what was the name, Lisa Lou, of that one club that was in Birkenfeld? There was that one club that all the GIs went to.
Mama Ricky. I'm not sure.
No, I'm asking her.
Oh,
She said she lived there.
I was like, I have no idea.
Yeah, that's crazy though. It was the same time frame and all. My
cool.
oldest daughter was born in the Bad Kissingen Krankenhaus, so.
That's so cool.
She was like, Sean, we lived in Birkenfeld. Yeah, it's for real.
My dad was.
I'm gonna type it in. Hold on.
American Library and see all of this information, this like news about Germany.
So I just typed in. That was, if you type that in, it'll come up because Neubrücke is still a town. But that's where our little Kaserne was, and there was a little airport there in Neubrücke. It's where I was stationed, but we would go to Baumholder for anything we wanted to do.
Interesting.
That's crazy. She's like, we were in.
And you know what the thing is we're old because I think we've had this discussion on this channel many times.
But Lisa Lou wasn't in it, and I'm
No.
gonna guess that
this one and England.
Lisa Lou's husband was probably a tanker.
You think?
I mean, that was where First Armored Division was. So
maybe she'll let us know.
Yeah.
My parents boarded a ship to Canada. Wait, my parents boarded a ship there to Canada when I was a few weeks old. Sean, remember how we had to maybe.
Do. Yes, Neubrucke had a commissary the size of a bedroom. This is true. And you remember
about the Burger King. I
I'm
want to know
just-
about the Burger.
there
But
was
that
no
was what I was
Burger King
waiting for.
Neubrucke had like a little club, and they had a little commissary. But they had those two barracks that were a little bit more modern than the rest of that was an old hospital. That building, that big huge building. There was wings that were completely like sealed off, that with rooms that had no one had been in them in years.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. What is a concern?
A concern is like a smaller like a small base.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And that's where she was born?
She was born in a Krankenhaus.
What
in
is
Bad
that?
Kissingen. The Krankenhaus is German for hospital.
Oh, okay, okay. Is it the same symbol?
Yeah, they have like a cross on it and all that. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. Had a commissary the size of.
It's so true.
It was that small.
I lived like before Jessica came over, because I was married to Jessica at the time. I lived on Neubrucke, and we could walk to work. And then, of course, my housing was in Birkenfeld.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I've never, like I've said a million times, never been to Germany. We always discuss, would we want to go see Germany or England again, since we both were there? And I was like, he says, you said you'd like to see England, not necessarily like the base, but see England. And I was like, I'm sorry, I can't return it. Not because I have any sort of like hatred or whatever. I don't like those overseas flights. So really, I'm kind of bluffing.
Yeah.
Look at
Eleanor's like, God damn, they're live. So Lisa says we moved to Oberstein. Eder Oberstein. That was the full pronunciation of that.
That's so cool.
An MP. Yep.
Stitching, go to Scotland. And I was in England, and I only went to Scotland once, and that's because I got lost and went further north instead of south because of where RAF Minwith Hill was. My call has a, should I say it? Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Where it was like just near Scotland, and I was having babies, so I wasn't driving all over Europe visiting things. If I had it to over again, I would have like done both. I would have, because it really wasn't that far to anything. You just drive it or whatever.
I remember coming back from the States. We landed in Mildenhall Air Base, and then the plane went to Remstein. So, yeah, there was a big drawdown in '93 that Neubrucke was part of. And I remember like Hahn Air Base and some of the other air bases were closing, and I was working out a lot, and I was like 23 years old. And so they were like, you could go to their sporting goods little stores on these casernes, and they like big barrel, the big things of protein powder was like, they were getting rid of them for like $5. I had a wall locker full of that shit. Full like protein powder and all that. There was a lot of steroids going around Germany in the early 90s. And
you take steroids?
I took one cycle. I blew up like whatever. And then
that's not my type, but
no, I was 22 or 23 years old, and you took them in a pill. And all it really did to me is retain a lot of water, and then you went into the gym. So
yes, Andy, absolutely.
Now Mandy's got to rethink her whole relationship with me.
And we always have the litmus test. Did it have a dishwasher?
Yeah. So Mandy grew up in the enlisted life. I was enlisted when I was in Germany, but I went to OCS, and so Mandy was always like, "You were an officer. You guys had a dishwasher."
Yeah, but that one you said you wheeled outside is how it worked. Isn't that what you said? The dishwasher, you said you like pulled
that
it
was
outside?
At Fort Knox. That was when I was
I've
at Fort
never
Knox.
seen anything like that.
It was
even at my grandparents' house.
It was a little ranch style place that was about maybe half the size of this and half as wide. It was a little like 2-bedroom place when I was at school.
Oh, I see. I was like, I'm so confused what's going on here. Now I got it. I was like, sometimes that's why trolling us doesn't work, because half the time I can't read the username.
I know. She needs glasses
or see
so
the profile.
Bad. Mandy needs glasses
by
so
the time
bad,
I know there's something, it's because the mods have removed them, or like, you know, and half the time if I do see the name, I don't even like, it doesn't make any sense, and I'm sure it's supposed to be an insult, but I don't understand.
It is, and people say dumb shit because they try to get witty.
You get one chance, right?
Yeah, and
Sean doesn't block people.
Yeah, I mean, I would sometimes, if I see something that's really, I mean, what can people say? You know, they have to be pretty nasty, just, you know, doing the normal things like, you know, we've been here, we've been around the block.
We've pretty much seen it all.
Yeah.
But one thing that continues to amaze me is the Nikocado avocado.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second.
We did last time, but the thing that I didn't realize is he's posting videos of him, the big him, saying, "You really thought I lost weight? Ha ha, here I am."
Yeah.
So it's the question of which are the pre-recorded, the way he is now or the other way.
There was this. What were you listening to that the other night when it was kind of like it was a channel that kind of has staked its claim on exposing people, and it was talking about him saying, you know, he pulled off whatever, but he's still a dumbass. You were listening to it, and
I've listened to tons of different opinions and theories.
It was kind of like a monologue of sorts, and they were like, I mean, because what people forget about this guy is he went to Juilliard. Right?
Never, yeah.
He went to the MIT.
You can say what you're laughing
at. So Mandy was like,
I thought they said MIT and Juilliard. I was
she's like, so he went to Juilliard, which is the MIT of acting, and Mandy went.
Died.
The dude went to Juilliard and MIT.
I mean,
I was like, no, dear.
I had no idea. I was like, he got 2 degrees from it,
yep.
And I'm sure we got smart people. Someone in the chat will say, my so-and-so had an MIT and a Juilliard degree. So
not to be confused with an MIT 45,
but like this Juilliard is but you can only go there obviously for a degree in arts.
Well,
you don't go there to become a doctor.
And shit, like actors and things like that. Like
it's what a useless.
It's,
I'm sorry, no offense, but what a useless degree.
But the thing about it was, if you were going to make
Am I wrong?
If you were going to make it like in Hollywood or somewhere else, and you could put that on your resume, that's what you did. It wasn't easy to get into. It's a hard school to get into.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
The iPad died, so now I have to look at even smaller writing.
Well, we're not going to stay on here for 3 hours like AK and Alex and just drone on and on and on with the same old stuff that they talk about every time.
I haven't gotten caught up on much. I've been trying to figure out this whole the mystery, not the mystery of the AdSense, but empathizing. I can empathize with her because it's a pain in the ass. So if you need it to pay bills, you better plan on 5 months. Maybe not drive out in a rage.
You have to be, and like for Mandy and I, when that happened and the realization, because first of all, when we got a block on our AdSense, we thought someone was fucking with us. We thought somebody turned
us in and said it was a fake something.
And you know, I've had to redo my VA stuff a couple of times, and most of the stuff that people fuck with, the organizations know that people fuck with me.
Right,
so
exactly.
It's like whatever. So when this happened, we were like, man, well, that sucks. They got us. And it was about 3 or 4 weeks before we figured out.
I kept going to check because the automated thing when you click the error says wait while we investigate or something.
And
so you're waiting.
And that can be for anything. And being investigated can be for anything.
Exactly. So I kind of sat on it and waited for it to work itself out. But no, you have to be proactive.
You have, or it'll just sit.
And then once you have resolution and you submit something, you have to wait. And then it happened, I think that they finally resolved it on the 24th or something. And that's why I used that example earlier. God. It was like the 24th.
Oh.
And we never talked about it, but you know, it makes like, I wouldn't mess with them. As a matter of fact, when they resolved the issue, I sent them an email and thanked them for their time.
We were like, no. Can we send you a Christmas card? And they're like, fuck off.
But it was like, and they were like, thank you. We don't get these emails very often, but I was
bet
like,
you don't.
yeah, it took a long time, but it finally got done. Thank you. And
You have to be diligent, and that's what Mandy is, and I'm not. I mean, every once in a while, Mandy will come in and say, Sean,
Hey,
you need to
boss.
do this phone call because I'm going to lose my mind. But a lot of times, Mandy's like, there's the dumbest things will paralyze me with anxiety. And she was like, just have you picked up the phone and called him? And I'm like, well, no. And she goes, why?
Yeah.
And
Y'all,
she picks up the phone.
We've talked about this before. Our chicken coop has a mortgage. So you'll be happy to know we're coming up on the end of it. It doesn't matter how much. I'm not going to even say what we owe because that's stupid.
It's stupid.
They'll look like we're begging for it. But it was funny because
got a very
when I called to say we're going to be a couple weeks late on this month's, thing, but please note our account. And she comes back and says, you paid out of what we had originally. She goes, we're not coming to
take that shit.
And I'm
from
like,
you.
okay, because I was like, can you let the chickens out of it?
I mean, if you come to haul it away,
Please take
just
the chicken.
check, and you can have whatever eggs are in there. But it was the reason why Mandy said that is because I get this automated thing early in the morning, and I look at it and I'm like, they're on their way right now with the truck to come get our chicken coop. She
and what
looked
was
at
so
it and
funny
she said,
if it was an automated.
it was an automated thing.
But,
We were late.
what they typed into it, because they're a
They're a company.
they're a company, but they're very family owned, very Georgian, and so someone put in the auto message that gets down is make your payment or we're coming to get it.
Yeah,
and
so
maybe
it was
they did that to
very
be funny.
blunt.
Yeah,
So Mandy was like, we got this message, and she was like, we're not coming to take your shit. You have paid us three times what the thing's worth.
I was like, we're going to be just literally like, it's rent to own. So here in the South, those of you in the South know what I'm talking about. Rent to own trailer and shed places, and shed places normally have chicken coops,
right?
And they all do a credit check, no whatever.
They don't give a shit. Money talks, man. It's like until it's kind of like renting a place. People, when we're talking about what's her face, and let's finish this up first. It takes diligence. That she's not going to stay at it to get that shit lifted, because first of all, if she stays at it to the point to figure out what it is, it's probably whatever, several, if it's a lien from somebody. So she owes somebody a certain amount of money. And what YouTube will tell you is so we're like, what do we have to do? You have to satisfy the bill, like the complete thing. So if you got a lien on your account for $5,000, you can't just make payment arrangements. You got to pay all off the whole $5,000 and then prove to YouTube with some document that you have paid it off.
And ours
completely.
was just it was a letter of resolution is what they needed, but it took about 4 days of messaging to find out exactly what it was I needed to send them.
Right. So it was about.
They would respond and it would be off topic.
It was about 6 weeks of finding out what the fuck it was.
Yeah.
Then when we got the document, it took about 2 phone calls to take care of it, and then another 6 weeks to get the resolution. And really, so if that happened to us today, it'd probably be about January before it would be resolved.
Right.
So there's that.
And we're so like, well, that means we can get another chicken coop, and it's like, no. We are going to do a silky enclosure. I've got some progress that has been made on doing a silky enclosure. Because they're little bitty. They're our favorite. Y'all love Devo. Whenever you see Devo and Presley.
I'll tell the story real quick. We're in Texas. The lady that's watching our chickens said the guy all the way down the street came up, and he was super nice about it. He was like, hey, the chickens are down there fucking up my flower beds. And and the person who was watching our chickens saw them at our door. No one's ever come to our door and said that our chickens were a problem. So we're in Texas, and it's like, man, we're going to have to figure this shit out. So we came up with a plan. Mandy is the engineer and the architect. She is. I'm the guy that goes out and makes the money. She is the one that says, all right, this is how this shit's going to work. We're kind of perfect that way. So we have a plan for our fence and everything, what it's going to cost and this and that. So we're going to do that. We're going to go out and get the materials in a few days.
But everyone has chickens. In the last year, not only us.
But what I'm saying is now we've noticed our flock is not the only one that runs around. There's a couple of flocks that run all over the place now. I looked out in the front and saw a rooster that wasn't my rooster. and a couple other hens running around with it. It was from someone else's house.
It was coming over and banging our hens.
Yes.
And running home.
She came home from the other day, and there were some rogue chickens that we didn't even fucking know what they were. We're all into the chicken feed, and then of course when our rooster comes up, they run off. But what I'm getting at is if somebody is complaining about chickens tearing up their yard, there's all kinds of chickens, not just ours, that are out here.
And they all look the same.
They all look the same.
A lot of them came from our
tiny. Our rooster probably fathered every single one of them, or the eggs that Karen sent to us.
Right.
You know.
Right. Do you know? Have you had Yorkshire pudding?
Let me see. That might be
Yorkshire pudding. No. It's Lord Hillcrest.
No. What is in Yorkshire? Yorkshire.
I think it's
pudding.
tapioca, isn't it?
See now, Mandy says that I would say Yorkshire, and she has said it the right way.
Yorkshire.
It's like when you don't say Rhode Island, you go Rhode Island.
Yes.
Right? And you don't say Louisville, you go Louisville.
I say Louisville, but that's because I'm from Texas.
Yeah. You don't say, for like Paula and our friends in North Carolina, you don't say North Topsail. You say North Topsail Beach.
There you go.
So there you go.
So if someone comes and says, "How far is North Topsail?"
Lord Hillcrest said tapioca. No, let us know what it is. Eggs, milk, and flour.
Eggs, milk, flour.
Says
we're going to be adventurous because they sell at our local mom and pop hardware store. They sell fresh eggs.
When did Kay send us $5? I didn't see it.
I said thank you like 3 or 4 minutes ago.
Thank you, Kay. See, that's why we're the perfect couple. Thank you, Kay.
But we're thinking about being like a test tube, and instead of eating the ones from the hardware store, Sean said the ones that he had today were all fertilized. So he said they have a good, there's obviously a rooster amongst them. So I was like, it'll be exciting.
And they're huge eggs.
We can incubate, and I'm like, but what happens if it's like a turkey or something?
It's not a turkey. But so we're gonna go because it's True Value. People just bring their eggs, so we're gonna go get a dozen of their eggs
because we're such people pleasers.
Sometimes and we're gonna do what we did.
We overpromise our eggs, right. So we give all of ours away, and then we go buy them from the store. That's an honest confession.
But these eggs were from True Value. And somebody that we promised the eggs to, we ran short.
I'd be curious what they hatch.
I mean, like you guys that have ever, when you crack an egg, when it's fertilized, there's a little dot in it, a little white dot. I showed you the picture.
Right. Usually or a squiggly.
Right. Well, these weren't, one was a squiggly and one was just the dot. And I'm like, so we're going to go buy a dozen eggs from the hardware store and incubate those. And we're going to do it in the middle of December, like we did the last time as irresponsible chicken farmers.
Yeah, we weren't very good.
Chickens aren't hatching eggs.
It's been an adventure to say the least. Yes. Sometimes I wonder if I really love the hobby, but I do. I love our chickens. Are you about ready to go?
Lord Hillcrest is like.
No, this girl's journey. You're not blocked.
No, you're not blocked. Everyone is giving their little 2 cents about Yorkshire pudding, and Hillcrest is like, no.
And he said it doesn't have sugar in it. He said, I can't remember. I remember they had baked beans for breakfast there. And I still kind of like that. And Sean thinks that's very weird.
Yeah, but then again, what do I eat for breakfast sometimes? I'll put a tombstone pizza in the oven for breakfast when we're...
The legendary tombstone pizza.
But...
You want to have a freak off?
You want to have a freak off? We might have a freak off.
I bet it's going to censor our shit saying that.
Freak off?
Freak off has become a legal term.
Is that like Hawk Tua?
You've said that before. I don't know what that means.
She still doesn't know who Hawk Tua is, the Hawk Tua girl. It came and went.
So anyway, so it became like a term, and they were using it on legal channels. Y'all know what I'm talking about. They were using it on...
Oh, Aspasia's like, don't say that after the Diddy thing.
That's what I'm saying. I think
you're going to get a block put on our AdSense.
But they literally... Yeah. No, that's a good point to make. Having your AdSense put on hold and being demonetized are two different things.
Yeah.
You can have your stream demonetized for things that you said, but that doesn't mean that it's taken down, right? You'll still get your payment, just not for that one. And you can appeal it, and after you appeal so many times and they go through, then they just get they just get confirmed without them looking at them. But then, well, the bot catching it. But it can be any word.
It could be anything. Andy says,
That's
awesome
why
live.
I don't really know what the hell they're talking about most of the time when I'm watching these vloggers.
She doesn't.
Because they've turned the words different.
Yeah.
So that it doesn't get censored. Like, well, unalive has become the word for... And again, I'm confused why there's certain words that we're going to be scared to say. But anyway, like I don't like that they restrict the names of like the... See, I don't even care if we get, but the rugs.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to say the word. The rugs, you have to describe them. You can't say the name.
Yeah.
I don't think that saying...
That's why I was surprised that the troll account, though it was a friendly one, had the unalive yourself in the name.
Right.
And it made it through.
And then unalive is not censored yet. But the other words are.
Oh.
Yeah. And again, I've talked about that before. I think when the unalive, like suicide, when that word becomes a no-no, I feel like...
It should be.
I feel like... No, I feel like... I mean, I understand the warning, but what I'm saying is it's not a dirty word.
It's not a dirty word.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
I mean, especially in the veteran community, because 23 soldiers, every single day, veterans, whether they're active duty or not, it is one of those careers that has a high unalive rate. It does. And, for me, it's like violence in schools and things like that. It should never, ever, 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 it's like bullying or being homophobic or something like that. Never, ever, ever, ever should it become normal. Like what is normal, that is acceptable, that we see and is acceptable. Should never be. Did you see what Andy said? I'll read it. Cousin Andy said, awesome live. We love seeing you guys and everything that is going on. And Mandy, thank you again for everything you have done. We love you so much and are grateful every day to have you in our family.
Thank you. Same. We're pretty grateful to have each other, and same. You ready? I said, are you ready?
I am ready.
All right. We'll see you next time. It is... I'm not even talking about the members thing. You'll see.
Yep.
Okay.
It is 10 o'clock. We kept it under an hour and a half, so we can't be accused of hot Discord rejects who go for 4 hours for their 400 views. Cam up, guys. If you guys cam up, I promise you more people will watch, because no one can take you seriously
until you do.
Because, pictures and images of you guys are out there, and they're like, how can you sit there and make fun of other people and their looks and what they're doing when you hide behind Abby's that aren't you?
Right.
Right. And Wendy, you're better off without Randy. I'm going to say that. I've done the research, right? You don't need Randy. You can get excited about like finding out some shit about Laura or whatever and carry that without. We know you don't want to talk about whoever this Richard cat is. We get that. We can tell by listening. You don't want to talk about Richard. We don't even know who the fuck he is, and we don't care.
Right.
So there you go.
Well, I kind of do. I asked earlier, but...
Oh, well, I don't care who he is, but I mean...
Well, he's apparently, from what I could see, he's not someone I would want to watch anyway.
Oh.
Even for curiosity purposes.
The Randy and Wendy is... You see the friction? There's some friction in there. Maybe it's an East Coast, West Coast thing. Maybe it's because when Wendy goes solo, she, clearly outviews Randy when Randy is solo.
But that is just from our...
That's just advice.
And we'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah,
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye.